on with it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your reflections on how yesterday went. I know it was a long day and a heavy day, and so I'm sure quite a few of you are tired. I let some people know I probably used body wash on my hair this morning instead of shampoo, so we'll allow each other some grace today. And next, I'm thrilled to present our patients and caregivers and survivors to come to the stage, please, to share your reflections on how yesterday was. If you could come on up, and could I get a round of applause for them? They've seen my children and I grow over these past 2 to 3 years through Zoom and share a very special relationship with them, so I'm pleased that you get to meet them and know them a bit better.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Sandler. I had my work done at UCLA 10 years ago. When I was first diagnosed, I asked the question, why me? I spent about 15 seconds thinking about that question, and then I went immediately to, what's the plan? When do we start? What's my job? I had a Whipple, 6 months of FOLFIRINOX, and then after that I had 2 recurrences. There was a new thing going around, and I heard about liquid biopsies. I got one, and it pointed to Gleevec. And then I was kissed by God. When I hit 5 years, I asked the question again. Why me? Why did I survive? No answer. Year 6, I asked again. Why me? Nothing. Year 7, the canopy called. I had my answer. I felt motivated, committed, and empowered at a level I didn't understand. Everything that I went through was going to be worth it, because I'd be able to help other people with pancreatic cancer. Bobby? Thanks to Bobby for pointing us, the Patients Council, also known as the Inpatient Patients, to ANCAN. We've been able to actualize a way to help people all over the country through a peer-to-peer virtual support group. Sure, we give tips to patients and caregivers. It's important, but it's not the most meaningful to the people who come. The issues we deal with and the advice we give are clinical trials are important. Nutrition, get an RDA. And oh, by the way, this is National Nutrition Month. So I was going to say, hug a dietitian, but say something nice to a dietitian. So make sure you're on the right dose of Creon. Get a physical therapist. Start palliative care now. If you're not at an MDC, assemble a team, and don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Some of this should sound familiar because it's on a lot of the slides that we've seen this weekend. But the most meaningful thing we do, the thing that impresses people who come to the support group, rather a better word than impress, is shock them, is our combined survivorship. I've got 10 years. Rob and Randy couldn't be here today, both have 9 years each. Amy, another 5 years. That's 33 years. Nora, who just joined us, 10 years, longer than me, by a month. By a month. And more importantly, Lisa, 1 year. The toughest year, the toughest year. Lori and Janet, caregivers, 15 years, 6 years, that's another 21 years. We're up to 65 years of experience in survivorship. And we've got to add in Steve. He's the guy we met from the support group, 11 years. This guy started out stage 4, 11 years, and his doctor just told him he's cured. We've got 3 guys from the pancreatic cancer, from PanCAN's Survivor and Caregiver Network, 5 years each. Now we're up to 91 years. 91 years of survivorship and caregiving on one Zoom. Talk about everything, everywhere, all at once. 91 years of survivorship. There is no stronger expression of hope to a pancreatic cancer by seeing multiple people who've made it that long. And believe me, not to be critical, but contrast that to what's said in the doctor's office. So here's the ask. Here's the ask. We want you survivors. We want to get to 100 years on the Zoom, and we need your help to do it. And our goal is to double that in a year. We want to get 200 years of experience on that call. And we want your patience, like Lisa. We can offer them something that they can't get anywhere else. What do people tell us? They tell us, you get me. Finally, someone understands what I've been going through. People tell us, I didn't understand I might be able to live. So, to Scott and Joni, thank you for this place. Thank you for creating the Canopy, a place where the best join together to improve health care for people like us. Joe and Carrie, you're critical to our success. And Bobby, we can't do it without you.
Wonderful. Lori, would you like to go next? Lisa? Oh, wait, that's right. Next, we'll have Lisa present her experience and reflections on yesterday.
Thank you. I have so much gratitude to be here amongst all of you. And cancer was my wake-up call. It's my journey. It's what I realized everything in my life has led to allow me to be here at this point. And I'm not done yet. There's plenty more to do. So my background is in integrative medicine. I'm a third-generation nurse. My mom was a nurse, my grandmother was a nurse, my daughter's a nurse. It's in our genes. I'm fascinated by the human body. I love nature. So, I was diagnosed and then I actually found out myself before anyone else knew. I actually looked in my chart and I was like, oh, okay, sure. this is where I'm supposed to be. And I went over to my boss, and she said, yeah, I think you need to go home now. But so I did a search because for me it was important to find a supportive team that I was connected to. And I live in upstate New York, and so I had started as a palliative care nurse practitioner 3 months before my diagnosis. And I kept saying, I'm amazed at how many people have pancreatic cancer. What's going on? And I had one patient who I became very connected to, who I looked at all his symptoms. And when I presented at night with what I thought was food poisoning, I knew something's not right. So that led me to seek care a lot earlier than I would have. And so I sought out a local team that didn't work. I went to Dana-Farber and I liked them, but it wasn't a connection. And then I met my team at Mount Sinai when I met with Dr. Schwartz. I just knew right away when we discussed yoga that he was my surgeon. And the team has been amazing, and I feel so grateful to them for bringing me on and allowing me to be here and share. So with my wake-up call, I said, okay, you know, my life had been pretty healthy. I moved, I did yoga, I ate health, you know, but there was a reason why this was happening to me. And I had, along the way, studied yoga and biofeedback and Watsu water therapy. So I said, you know what, I really need to hit this from every angle, because I don't know where it came from, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to do whatever I can to find a way to try to heal myself, because I have more to do. I have people to give back to. So I found a medical Qigong practitioner who taught me about Chinese medicine and how chemotherapy can bring up heat in the body and how she could release that. I found a healing Qigong program online that I thought I was just going to learn Qigong. I learned the physical practice. They also did a sound healing, which they had us envision our pain or what was going on with our body and just make that sound. And that's really freeing. And then the third part was the emotional piece, which was my big aha moment. It's like, okay, this is the piece that I really needed to address and reflect on, because as I've shared throughout this weekend, I also was a caregiver for my husband who had stage 4 colon cancer, and his journey was a year long, and that was 5 years ago. So recognizing that there's just so much that happened, and how to move forward and heal from all of this. And of course, nutrition and food is medicine. So when I heard about the Cancer Canopy, I'm like, hallelujah, this is the place to go. And so after my Whipple, I was doing great. I was up moving. I felt wonderful. And then all of a sudden, I was not really taking pancreatic enzymes. I was taking my own pancreatic enzymes, not Creon, and I dropped 20 pounds. And I said, uh-oh, this is the first time I'm scared, because I know that we need nutrition to thrive and survive. So getting in, you know, I did get my pancreatic enzymes, made such a difference. And so the nutrition piece is also huge. And then I had to reframe my mind of, you know, I was focusing on my weight. Oh, I can't lose any more weight. And I was making myself crazy. So I let go of that. And I said, you know what? I feel good. I wake up. I have energy. I can do yoga. I can hike. I'm doing fine. So I'm not going to focus on that. And I'll eat what I can and go from there. So it's been an amazing journey so far. And I am so grateful for everyone here, and again, being around providers that have such open hearts and such compassion and such expertise, because usually it's one or the other, not all together. So this room, I feel like, you know, if you could look down from the earth, it'd be like light shining out of here. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you, everyone, and let's conquer this.
Hi, everyone. I think this is on, yes? I'm Lori. I'm a caregiver in healing. I think I'll be healing for the rest of my life. That's kind of what happens when you become a caregiver. So I kind of want to reflect on what transpired yesterday from my view, and to begin thinking about the morning. It was a heavy, heavy day yesterday for me. Joni shared her news, and so many of us have been in a moment like that. And I just felt for her, and I felt her fear. And then I looked at Scott, and I saw a caregiver in peril. Medically, I knew he knows what's ahead, but as a caregiver, not so much. It's an open book that he'll be able to fill the pages as things progress. That was how our day began. And then later in the day, Chris took this seat, and it was our turn to look inward. And I do mean our turn because her words and exercises on moral injury were directed really at all of you. But it was such a powerful punch for me. So many memories came flowing back from the 8 years as a caregiver to my husband, Leroy. He was one of the strongest forces of life that I've ever met in my life. But like you, I found so many challenges as a caregiver that I never saw coming. In your field, you face this every day. We talked about that this morning, right? And it's always a challenge to meet new patients and to figure out how to best treat them in so many different ways. I found that to be the case as a caregiver. And we all developed our coping mechanisms as the years have gone by. We couldn't survive without it. But yesterday, we found that some of those coping mechanisms aren't as strong as we thought. The way I came away from that yesterday was I thought maybe we should call this mortal injury instead, because loss of a loved one or a patient hurts so deeply, and it still does. And yesterday, after all of this was completed, I knew that I'm still working on healing. It's a hard road, and Leroy's been gone almost 15 years. And from looking at all the faces in the crowd yesterday afternoon, I know that so many of you are in that healing process too. Moral injury is a caregiver's wound as well. So where can I draw my strength? Probably from my sports background. I've learned over the years, elite athletes don't dwell on their losses. They never forget them, but their clock always resets. That's what makes them elite. Time doesn't heal. People do. Yesterday, Chris gave us some tools so we can all restart our clocks. Thank you.
And thank you to all the patients. Thank you to all the patients who came, and a special shout out to the patients who weren't able to come, Rob, Randy, Dee Dee, and the countless others that this group has helped support through the patient support group. So this is your soundboard. Feel free to reach out to our national advisors as you identify your local patients. They're here to help you through any step of the way as well. So thank you.